All right, everyone, let's get started. You've probably heard the phrase Holy Grail, right? It's this symbol for a quest, a search for something incredibly powerful, something transformative. Well, in the world of business analytics, that quest is for the power to not just see what's coming, but to know the absolute perfect move to make. And today, we're going on that quest. Just stop and think about that for a second. Seriously, what if your data didn't just warn you a storm's coming, but it actually handed you the perfect plan to deal with it? That's the mind-blowing promise of what we're digging into today. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to climb what's called the analytics maturity ladder. Then we'll talk about a huge problem, the gap between knowing something and actually doing something. After that, we'll unveil our holy grail prescription. We'll even peek under the hood to see how it works, check out its evolution into something called agentic AI, and wrap up with maybe the most important part, where we, the humans, fit into this whole picture.
Okay, so to really get why prescription is the ultimate goal, you first have to understand the journey that companies go on. It's a path that takes you from just looking at what's already happened to literally shaping what's going to happen next.
And this is that journey, the analytics maturity ladder. It all starts with the basics, descriptive analytics, which just answers what happened. Then you climb a step to diagnostic, which tells you why it happened. The next big leap is predictive, forecasting what might happen. But the very top, the peak of the mountain, that's prescriptive. It tells you exactly what should we do.
A great way to think about those first two steps is like your car's rearview mirror. You absolutely need it, right? It's essential to see where you've been, but you'd never try to drive down a highway by only looking in the rearview mirror. That's what these analytics are. They give you fantastic context, but they just can't steer you forward. And this is where we run into a really big problem. Even when we have these amazing tools that can predict what's coming, there's often this huge chasm between knowing something and knowing what to actually do about it. We call this the insight-action gap. Now, don't get me wrong, predictive analytics was a total game changer. It was a massive leap forward. It gave us foresight, the ability to look at data and get a pretty good guess of the future. It's basically like a super accurate weather report that tells you a big storm is heading your way.
But, and this is the million-dollar question, the forecast says there's a 75% chance your most critical shipment is gonna be late. So what do? I mean, what's the actual move? Do you spend a ton of money to air freight it? Do you reroute it and risk a whole new set of delays? Or do you just cross your fingers and hoping land in that lucky 25%? See? A prediction gives you odds, but it doesn't give you a playbook.
This chart here really nails the difference. Just look at the core questions. Predictive is all about what might happen, and its output is a probability. But prescriptive, it asks what should we do and gives you a straight-up recommendation. And check out the shift in the human role. You go from being an interpreter of data to a validator of a concrete recommended action. It's a huge change.
And this is where our hero finally enters the scene. Prescription is the thing that closes that frustrating loop. It's what builds the bridge across that great divide between just having an insight and taking an action. So here's the formal definition, but let's break it down. Prescriptive analytics isn't just about looking at data. It's an active decision-making engine. It takes that prediction, and then it factors in all the real-world stuff, your budget, your resources, all the rules you have to follow, and then it calculates the best possible way forward. Okay, so that sounds pretty magical. But how does it actually pull it off? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine that makes all this run. The absolute heart of all of this is a field called mathematical optimization. Now, I know that sounds intense, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. You tell the system your goal, say the lowest possible cost or the fastest delivery time. Then you give it the rules of the game. And the optimization engine then sifts through literally millions, sometimes billions, of possibilities to find the single best one that hits your goal without breaking any of your rules. And to find that one perfect solution, it uses some seriously powerful tools. You've got things like linear programming for more straightforward problems. But for so many real-world business decisions, the real MVP is mixed integer programming, or MIP. It's built to handle those tough yes or no choices. Things like, should we open a new warehouse? Or should we fund this project? You can't open half a warehouse, right? MIP is the math that gets that. It turns these complex choices into problems a computer can actually solve. But what about all the stuff you can't predict, the uncertainty? Well, that's where simulation comes in.
I love this idea. It's a digital sandbox. Before you make a huge decision in the real world, you can test it out in this sandbox against thousands of different what-if scenarios. What if there's a market crash? What if a supplier goes out of business? You can stress test your strategy to see how it holds up before you put a single real dollar on the line.
So we've seen how prescriptive analytics can find the best answer. But what happens when that system not only finds the answer, but can also act on it, all by itself? Well, that's the next chapter in this story.
And that chapter is called Agentic AI. Think of it this way. If prescriptive analytics is the brain that decides what to do, Agentic AI gives that brain hands and feet. It doesn't just tell you, hey, you should reorder supplies. No, it actually logs into your system, finds the best vendor, fills out the purchase order, and executes the transaction, all on its own. It doesn't just suggest the solution, it is the solution.
And it does this in a continuous loop, just like you see here. First, perception. The agent sees that your inventory is running low. Then, reasoning. It crunches the numbers on all your suppliers to find the optimal choice. And finally, action. It places the order completely autonomously. This isn't just simple automation. This is true autonomy in action.
Now, having this kind of power is, well, it's a huge deal, and it brings with it some immense responsibilities. Wielding this holy grail of analytics requires wisdom, careful governance, and a real understanding of the human's role in all of this.
And this quote right here just hits the nail on the head. I mean, think about it. No CEO is going to bet the entire company on a massive strategic change just because some black box algorithm told them to. You have to have trust, and trust requires being able to ask why and getting a clear, understandable answer. Without that, the most powerful algorithm in the world is basically useless. And let's be clear, the stakes here are absolutely massive. The market for this technology is projected to hit $82 billion by 2035. This isn't some niche academic thing anymore. This is quickly becoming the new core of how modern business operates. So getting this right isn't just important, it's a multi-billion-dollar imperative.
Which brings us to the most critical safety protocol we have, the human-in-the-loop framework. For the really big, high-stakes decisions, the AI does all the heavy lifting. It analyzes millions of options to find the absolute best path forward. But a human expert always gives the final green light. It's the ultimate partnership between the AI's incredible scale and our human wisdom and accountability. So that leaves us with the biggest question of all. As we build these incredible tools that can literally shape our future with mathematical precision, are we, as the students, the creators, and the future leaders, are we ready to take full responsibility for the outcomes that we choose to prescribe? Something to think about. Thanks so much, everyone.